Right. My name's Josh Holdsworth and I am the videographer here at Drift Games, and in 150 days I'm potentially going to be a professional drifter. My central? Yes. A brief insight into how I got into drifting was as simple as I saw some cool videos and I wanted to shoot some cool footage. That's literally as simple as it gets. And from the first day I went over filming drifting, I was hooked. And it led me to some of the best places in the world, some of the best events, met the best people. Literally wouldn't change my life for a second. But there's only one thing of when you're filming something cool is you want to do that thing cool. And last year is probably the most I've ever drifted, and it gave me the itch to become a professional drifter. I come from a skateboarding background, and I would say I've got, for good or worse, a very competitive personality, and when I set my mind on something, that's what I want to do. And it's the same with skateboarding. I wanted to be the best. I may not have been the best, I was nowhere near the best, but I still have that drive in my head that once I set myself to something, I want to do it. And I would say you apply the same discipline into a different sport. So I would say videography may not be the same, but I can still apply what I learned from skateboarding into drifting, I find. And I would say two extreme sports, they're not too far apart. I mean, learning's learning, I guess.
It really is.
So I'm hoping the crossover in a somewhat similar way, and we can make this dream of ours a reality, because let's be honest, if I'm not very good, then I'm not really gonna go very far. So yeah, the car I drive is a MX5. All my previous road cars, I've only had 3, and one of them is my current drift car. I've had a Micra and a Polo, which are 2 very small cars. So for this project, I wanted something that reflected me, so obviously it had to be a small car. I do like other drift cars, I like S13s, I've drove Daves, it's incredible, but it's just not, I don't think it's part of my character to have something that's not really that unique and a bit big sort of thing. So 1, I wanted it to be a little unique, and 2, I wanted it to be small. That narrowed it down massively in my search for cars, obviously, because most small cars, modern day hatchbacks that are front wheel drive, there's very few small rear wheel drive cars. So I can't really talk about this too much without actually revealing what I've got. So I say we actually switch the camera over and reveal the car now. So I'm going to pass the camera on to Blaine. Ooh. And the guys are here.
Here we go. This is it.
Exciting moment.
Ooh. Everyone is excited. Wait, hold on. Once we take the cover off this, everybody knows what it is, and then we're committed to building a pro car out of this.
We're fairly committed. I mean, the car's
Josh,
here, so.
you've done the research now. Are you sure this is going to work?
No.
Sometimes my genius is, it's almost frightening.
There's not many of them being built, so I have no idea. This is.
How many of these are a drift car?
So,
I've only
3.
3 in the world.
3, I think. 4. Maybe.
3 or 3?
3. 3 or 4.
All right, okay, Josh. This is going to be
You do the countdown. Everybody wants to know
I've never
this.
put one of these sheets up. I've
Don't
never
stand
bought a
on
new
the
car or
sheet.
anything like this.
Okay,
Take
ready?
it autosports.
Here we go.
Are we ready?
Come back.
Okay.
Right.
3, 2, 2.5. Go on.
Go.
That is one big pile of shit.
You have to see potential in this. This is obviously what was someone's pride and joy that they wanted to restore, and I took advantage of the situation, and we got it for a steal.
So he
of
went
€1,000.
He went to do all the work and then realised it was an MX5. That's all. I like that.
So get rid of the MX5, get rid of the MX5.
Yeah, so it's the more modern version of this, to be exact, 2 marks up.
Mark 3?
It's the Mark III, or the NC as you may have it. So I've not really gone too much different, but we decided that, I mean, what's more of a me car than an MX5, so we just got the newer version because obviously we're building it from the ground up, so it'd be pointless, that's already a drift car, to build one of them from the ground up, so we decided to build the newer chassis.
Well, the thing is, it's bigger. That's the one thing about it. It is a bigger car.
It's a bigger car.
Wait, not a big car. It's a bigger car.
And it's kind of, it's every car is almost bigger.
Yeah, so the wheelbase on that is around 5 inches shorter than this, and it's about another 5 inches shorter than an S body, so it's somewhere in between. So it has to be able to work. And there's Mad Mike, there's Christiansen, and there was someone in Drift Masters that built one. They're the only 3 that I really know that have built it to a pro spec level, and none of those had me.
None of those were built by little lads in a shed. Okay, so I'm gonna state the obvious of why I think it has potential from my perspective, and I think there's a couple of things. Number one is that it is a longer car and a bigger car, which is good, which means that it has bigger arches. Yes. Which means you can run 18-inch wheels on the car. Like on this car, you were never going to have the option of a 265 tire on the back of it, ever. So you're going to go from a 195 on the back of an MX5 on 15s to a 265 on an 18. So the car does need to be a little bit bigger. Good thing is though, she's ready for paint.
You know what? I'm just going to put it out
practice.
there now. I'm happy with that. Like, this guy has literally everything. He even primed it. Just give that little flick down now. Bit of paint in the gun. That's so much time saved. Well done.
It's a €1,000 car. You know what? You did all right for a base.
Do you want to know the best thing though? This is the best bit. Okay, so under the bonnet, this will
There's
shock.
2 jets.
This will shock.
It's like
like this is
the super.
completely standard engine.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
Look how far this goes back.
The chassis.
Is that notch from standard?
This is actually something that I worked out. So the chassis, the bulkhead or the firewall, is naturally notched back. So, because obviously in the rules you can't cut the firewall, but this is from factory, so it's already been cut as standard. So this can actually, if you look where the engine finishes there, I mean, that's pretty much in line with the wheel.
It's actually in line with the center of the wheel.
So before we start, Josh is already...
Such a small car, so that is actually one point of why it could be a very competitive car. Because
We're already bending rules before we even start.
we're not bending rules, it's standard. How can you bend?
Loophole.
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 This is a 4-cylinder, pathetic 1.8.
I think it's the 2 litre. It's about 160 horsepowers. Powers.
We're talking engine conversion here, I'd imagine.
The engine's going to be coming out. We haven't fully decided what engine's actually going to go into the car, but obviously it needs to be around 500 horsepower-ish kind of thing.
In order to make a competitive pro car out of this, you're going to need to change everything on this because except the chassis. It's a ground-up build.
There's a lot of work in this now, you do know that.
We worked some things out, and on the inside we're going to keep the dashboard, and then in the back we're going to keep the boot lid. And then pretty much that's where it ends.
You always want to do a ground up build. I don't think you realise what you have to sign up for.
I think I realised I just haven't thought too much about it.
I am the one, the way your son.
There is the quote of why we're in the situation we're in. So the thing I'm interested in, and this is the thing I'm very interested in, is that in order to make this car or building this car make sense, it's got to be 500 horsepower with 265s to make it competitive at a pro level. It's got to be extremely light. It's got to have a lot of lock. It's got to have a really well built chassis.
A lot of work done.
And again, you're only using the chassis and maybe 20% or 15% of the parts of the car.
The other spanner in the works is that because this chassis hasn't been developed as if you get a GTA 6 or the bolt-on parts, almost nothing comes for this.
So now we have to develop parts as well as...
We have to develop some parts, we have to modify parts, we have to,
Did you do any research?
Yeah, I did loads
No,
of
he
research.
did. He went and looked for a
How do
cheap
you think
car.
I found out that nothing comes for this?
The one thing that I would be very interested in seeing is how much this weighs now compared to how much this weighs now. We have got from Murray Motorsports some weighing scales, plates. What would they be called, Mike?
Well, they're weighing scales, really, aren't they?
A car
It's a
weighing
system
scales.
designed to set up corner weighting in cars that the guys in Murray's have very nicely given us a lend reluctant, you know, because it is an expensive piece of kit, but we have it here. I think I know how to use it. I was shown once, so what could possibly go wrong?
Okay.
There's only one way to find out.
We have the tool.
Here at Drift Games, we absolutely love online drifting. But more importantly, for you guys watching at home, we want to get you in the game as well. So we've partnered up with digitalmotorsports.com, Ireland's first online sim store, who are experts in everything when it comes to online drifting. And they're going to give you guys a full free sim rig at the end of this series. Now I know you want to know, how do you win? But it's quite simple. Every single episode of Games Changers, we're going to release a letter. It looks a bit like this. And that letter will form a sentence. And at the end of the series, the first person who can put that full sentence together correctly wins a full simulator. Now that's not bad going.
Hello. Total weight is
1,175 kilos. That's all it weighs.
right. Jump on out and let's see what it is without you.
1,000.
Hang on. Let's write this down. Adam, will you take notes of me?
1,175 kilos.
So that's with Josh.
That's with Josh in the car.
My target was just under 1,000.
It's very achievable.
That's what the car is alone.
1,085. So we know how much Josh weighs now. As a stock car, that's very light.
Like, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot we can do with this as well. We're going to chop a good bit out of it.
But
I know we can put a cage
the
in.
roof is going to come up. How much that must be? Like 20 kilos.
I know, like, we could do good things with this car.
Right, so I think the best thing to do now is put the other car on the weighing scales and see where that's at, because if that is much heavier, that's a really encouraging sign.
Just hang on, Josh. Put these size squares on there for me.
So this is the moment of truth now. 1,063 kilos. That's how much the car weighs, yeah? So that car weighs less than that car.
But not by very much.
But not by a lot. But that has a cage.
That has a cage and that has all steel panels. Still has a boot floor, everything. Like, you think about it, if we go chopping front, back, fiberglass and everything up here, we're going to lose a lot of weight in this car. Now I know we'd put a cage in, I guess that.
Taking all the standard things out, like all the original wiring, the interior, the seats. Like this has one bucket seat, custom wiring, no dashboard.
Basically the cipher is, this is a heavier car to start with, but it's not a heavy car by any means. Without Josh, that is 973 kilos. So it's less than a ton, that car. That's what makes it fast.
Yeah.
This is not a heavy car to start with. We're stripping everything out of it. We're building it from the chassis up. This is completely stock. Yeah. So you'd assume cutting a lot out of this car will bring a lot of that weight right down. And obviously you're going to be putting a much better engine in this car than that one. So,
but the exciting thing is we've never built from the ground up sort of thing. We've never weighed a car beforehand, strip it down, take all the things out.
Weighed a car. This is so outside of our world, man. People look at me. I look like I know what I'm doing here. Like,
It's got a head.
right? You know.
I'm pumped on this because it's uncommon. It's something different. No one's done these. I think with the engine setup that we're talking about in the background.
I don't think the one that we're most likely going to do, I don't think there's another one out there. I don't think it's actually been done even in a road car.
I think it's a one of one. And we could be open to correction on that, but
we are open to correction.
This series could be called Open to Correction. But I think this could be the world first of this particular chassis and engine setup.
I think so.
And the fact that we're building it from the ground up, that's super exciting. We now have to summarize what we've just witnessed for the audience at home. Number one, Josh wanted an MX5. Number two, he's bought an MX5 for €1,000. €1,000. €1,000, pretty cheap. Number three, no idea what he's bought. Doesn't know the engine, doesn't know anything about it.
Hasn't even looked underneath.
Then number four,
I haven't.
Nobody makes anything for it. Okay, so there's no bolt-on suspension parts, there's no bolt-on engine swap parts.
No, there's bolt-on suspension, just none of the other parts connect. None of the important drift parts. There's none of them.
Oh. Nobody makes good body kits, aggressive body kits for it.
No.
Nobody has put the engine that we're thinking of putting in one before.
No.
This is a long list of things that I'm worried about already, Josh. And then after that, we got to get it as light as possible by chopping everything out of it. We've learned that Josh's old competition car was 308 horsepower and it weighed less than a ton. And this weighs just over a ton and it has 160 horsepower. So at the moment, this is an absolute turd.
Isn't that?
But
that's the most exciting thing, to think that we're putting a lot more power into this and we can get it the same weight as that or less and put it on much wider tyres. It will be an absolute weapon.
We need a driver then.
Where are we going to find that?
And after that, you know, we don't know. But to be fair, you've done well in this car, and it does suit you and your style, and you do like MX5. So the most important thing is you're building the car that you like, and that's a big part of drifting. It's not just about winning; it's about doing it in something that you like.
You have to bond with the car.
Did you also pick this car because it's a convertible, so you can run the same as that with no roof? Be honest.
That was at least 80% of sway in my decision, yeah.
So the next time you're going to see this car, it's going to be start getting stripped down, and it's going to start getting built back up again as a pro competition spec car. And that means that on the next episode of Games Changers, we are going to reveal my new car, which again is another difficult build and one that we're probably a bit nervous about as well.
And
So
we can say it was more than my car.
it was slightly.
Does it come with a full paint job, or how does that work?
It does come with a full paint job, but they're not home and dry yet. So in the next episode, we will be showing you my 2021 Pro Spec competition car. It's nothing like this. So guys, let us know in the comments what you think of this. Is this going to be a really, really cool car? Remember, 500 horsepower, less than 1,000 kilos, and this guy designed it. Who knows what it's going to look like in the end. But if you like it, let us know in the comments. And on the next episode, we will be revealing my new car. So if you guys enjoyed the episode, if you thought it was interesting, if you're looking forward to the build, we're in for a penny, in for a pound with this one. So yeah, 150 days, this thing is going to be a pro spec drift car ready to take on the best. Or it could be a massive failure. Let us know what you think.